this is Gina. Today I'm going to show you how to make a fairly simple, beginner-friendly ornament cover. So this is one I've done in green, and this is what it looks like on a bulb. It's hard to show you on video simply because of the position of my camera, but I'll try to show you what it looks like. This is what the one I do on camera today, or on the video today, looks like. And they are really pretty straightforward, fairly simple, fairly quick moving. There's several steps to it, but they turn out really pretty, and it's not quite as daunting as some of the ornament covers that you'll see online. Very small, very intricate. They're beautiful, wonderful, but that can be a little intimidating to a beginner. So this is more of a beginner's friendly type, just to get you started on doing some ornament covers if that is what you like. So there's lots of ornament cover videos online, and you can find them, and if this isn't your cup of tea, and do them. But to start, I think this is a fairly simple rendition that may work for you well. So this is what we're going to do today. Let's go ahead and look and see what it takes to do this particular project. Okay, for this project today, we will be using several things from the Winter Wonders treasure bag. However, this is a very simple, very versatile design, and you can substitute a lot of these things with stuff you have in your stash, so don't worry about that too much. I will suggest some alternatives as we go through these. So I'm starting with 6mm round English cut or pentagon faceted beads. Now, they can be 5mm to 6mm round. The translucents tend to be more closer to 6mm round. So I'm going to use the red and some of the clear, and you had a strand of both in the treasure bag. I do have a lot of these beads online. Now the red and the clear may be sold out because they're going quickly, but I'm going to order more. But you can go ahead and substitute a 6mm bicone for this. You could use a 6mm round glass pearl. You could use anything that you want that's around 6mm. That will work really well. Then we're going to be using some 4mm round beads, and of course you can use any 4mm round you want. In your bag you have these imitation Austrian crystals, and there's a whole strand of the green. We're going to use 4mm round green crystals. Then we're going to be using some of these little drops that came in the treasure bag. Again, you can substitute this with anything that is vertically drilled, or you could use something small that is top drilled, and instead of going down through the bead, you can just sew through the top. Just put your seed beads on and sew through the top. So you can use anything that you want for your dangle. So we're going to be using some of these green ones, and you could even use a bicone crystal, or you could double up a couple of your 6mm rounds and fringe through them, or just one even. There's lots of ways that you can substitute the drop. Then we're going to be using some of these large crystals. Now this is about 12 by 9mm, and we're going to be using these. I do have some of these in my store, but they're all in variety packs, so I can't guarantee what colors you're going to get, but I do have these. And you can also substitute those with top drilled, and I have big packages of 10 of I have a lot of packages of 10 of these in my store also. So again, instead of sewing through it and fringing, you can go through the top of it. It is a top drilled crystal. Then or you can use any large drop that you would like. Any large crystal at the end will work just fine. We're going to use 15-0 seed beads and some 11-0 seed beads. I have Toho galvanized permanent finish starlight from the Toho line that I'm going to be using in both 11-0 and 15-0. I'm going to be using some 10-pound Nanofil. Now, you can use 8-pound Nanofil. You can also use 6-pound Fireline, or even perhaps 4-pound Fireline might even work better, because you need a very small thread for this, because we're going to go through these beads quite a bit. I'm using a size 15 English beading needle, and I'm going to start with about 5 feet of thread onto my needle. You are going to have to extend your Nanofil or Fireline during this process, so I will post a video in the description box beneath the video player, a link for a video, so that you can do that. And last but not least, you're going to need a Christmas bulb. This Christmas bulb is about 8.5 inches around. Now, I think it's pretty average size. On the top, my top is about 1/2 inch if you measure across the top here. You want something pretty similar in size to do this with, whoops, so that you can make sure that it's going to fit properly. Now, we're going to go ahead and get started, but I want to show you the pattern laying out just so you can see what it looks like. And we will get started. So I've got it all messed up. And this is what this looks like. Now, again, it's not looking beautiful laying out here because it's all jumbled up, but it's fairly simple. We're going to start with some right angle weave columns, and then we're going to move into embellishments. So there's a few steps. It is rather tedious because of the steps, but the process is very simple. So let's go ahead and get started. Okay, we're going to start this project by alternating 6mm round and 4mm round beads with 2 11/0 seed beads in between. So we're going to have 5 6mm beads and 5 4mm beads. Again, you're going to alternate in between each bead. You're going to have 2 11/0 seed beads. So get you close so you can see this. Start with the 6mm round and then go into your 4mm round and alternate them, and then end with a 4mm round and 2 11/0s, just like this. Now we're going to bring these beads to the end of the thread. You don't have to leave a long tail, but you need to leave enough to where your beads won't slide off as you sew back through, and you can tie a knot after you've sewn through. So you're going to take your working thread and cross it over your tail thread, and then start going into the beads from the tail side, and you're going to sew through a few of them. So I'm going to go through this little section here, and I'm just going to hold on to my tail, and I'm going to pull this through, and then I can pull on my tail and my working thread and draw this into a circle just like this. Now as we continue sewing through, it's going to loosen up, so make sure you have enough tail that you don't pull it through, and just keep sewing all the way around all of these beads. Until you get to where your working thread and your tail thread meet. Just make sure you don't miss any of these little 11/0s in between here, because they can be slippery little dudes. Okay, so I'm right where my tail and my working thread meet. I'm going to take my tail and my working thread. I'm going to cross my working thread over the tail, maybe, and then I'm going to put the tail in through the loop that I've just created by doing that twice, and tie a surgeon's knot. I'm going to draw that down onto my thread, and I'm going to tighten it. Make sure it's between the beads, and then just give yourself a little bit of working room here. You don't want a big bunch of slack where you see the thread, but you do not want your beads really tight. Then to begin, we're going to sew away from this area and into the next crystal, just so that we have a little bit of security and we're not by our knot and all that stuff. So we're coming out where our knot is, go into the 2 11/0s, the green crystal, 2 11/0s, and then the red crystal. So go through your 4mm round and then into your 6mm round. And pull this through. And this is where we will begin. We're going to make columns, 5 columns of right angle weave that has 5 units in it. So we're going to pick up 4 beads per unit. We have a bead we're starting with, so all we need is 3 because we're sharing this bead. So we're going to pick up 3 beads onto our needle. We're coming out of this side of the crystal. We're going to go into the opposite side of the crystal just like this, and we're going to pull this down. And then just draw it up to this bead the best you can. Now we're going to sew through it again, which will tighten it and strengthen everything. So we're going to go back through all 4 of the beads in this unit, including the one in the circle here. So we're going to go all the way around, 1 bead at a time, to retain the shape that we want. If you try to take more than one, you just kind of boggle up the shape of your unit. So like this. And then once you've gone all the way around and secured it, we need to sew down into this bead here so that we may start our next unit. We're going to make 5 units. So we're coming out here, we're going to sew down into this bead. Then we're going to sew into this bead here. And then we're going to pick up 3 more of our beads to share the bead that we're coming out of. So we've got 3. We're going to go into this 4th bead, and we're going to go on the opposite side from which the thread is coming out of it and pull this down. Draw it up into a unit, and then we need to sew around this unit again. So we'll sew around each bead one at a time. Hold on to your unit between your thumb and your finger, simply because that will help you retain some tension and keep you from messing up your unit too much. Go all the way around. And then into the bead we're connecting to. Let's sew down to the bottom bead so we can start again. So go through here and then into this bead right here. Very simple process. Pick up 3 more beads. Oh, come here, you. Those little holes are kind of hard for me to see with all the light shining on it. So, okay, we've got 3 beads. We're going to go into the opposite side. Crystals get kind of a glare on them under all my lights. I'm just going to turn it over so I can sew back through it easier. But I'm just sewing through exactly how I've been sewing through the entire time, each individual bead in the unit. And now I'm coming out of my connecting bead. Now I'm going to sew down into this side bead I'm right next to, and then into this bead here. Now go ahead and make 2 more units just like that, and we'll be right back. Okay, as you can see, I've made my 5 units, and it's easiest to count them by the little boxes in the middle or just the edge bead. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I've made my 5, and you can go ahead and make 6, or you can make 7 if you want a longer dangle off the side of your bulb. This will go down to the lower quarter, about here. So here on my bulb. So if you want it to hang lower, you can make more of these units. I'm making 5, and then I have put my last unit on, sewn all the way around to secure it. I'm coming out of my bead that I attached to. Now I'm just going to go straight down into this first side bead. Instead of sewing all the way down to the bottom, I'm just going to exit here. Now I'm going to put a little dangle on. And if you can use anything you want, I'm going to use my little drops. You can use a little bicone, you can use anything vertically drilled. If it's top drilled, then you're going to have to do it just a little bit differently. So I recommend a vertically drilled for this part. I'll show you how to use a top drill for our bigger crystal. So go ahead and pick up 3 15-0 seed beads this time. We're going to switch from 11-0s to 15-0s now. and we're going to pick up 3 15-0s, and then we're going to pick up our drop. You can also just use one of these for the drop too, or you can put two of them together and fringe up through them also. So you can use whatever you want for your drop. So sew through your drop and your 3 11-0s, and then pick up a 15-0 onto your needle. I'm just going to drop it down to my thread, and then I'm going to go back into my crystal here and back into my 3 15-0s. Make sure you get all 3 of them. They can be a little squirrely. And then into the crystal I'm attaching to, just like that. I'm going to pick it up, and I'm going to pull my thread through until that 15-0 seed bead travels down my thread and ends at the end of my little drop here. If you have an issue with it, you can pull it out. If you don't get enough tension here, you can pull that out and then retighten it until you have a nice drop without any slack. But you don't want it so tight that it sticks in weird positions either. So just nice and neat here. Then we're going to sew through, we're coming out of this crystal now that we attached to. We're going to sew through the middle crystal, the one we attached the entire unit to, right here. And bring our thread through. I'm going to turn this and go into this side arm now. So the one opposite of the one we just put our dangle on. Then I'm going to pick up 3 15-0 seed beads and a drop. And I'm going to drop this down to my piece. Just like that. I'm going to pick up a 15-0, drop it down to my thread. I just put it at the top here. And then I go back through my crystal, my 3 15-0s, and then I go through the attaching red crystal right here. I'm going to back off just a little bit here. It's just a little too obnoxious. And then I'm going to pull my thread through until I draw that 15-0 up. Everything looks nice and neat and clean and good. Now we're coming out of this crystal. We're going to go into this center crystal again. Here we're going to pick up 12 15-0 seed beads. Now if you're using something other than Toho, you may have to adjust the amount of beads you use because Toho are a little larger than say Miyuki or Czech. So you may have to pick up a few extra. We're going to pick up 12 seed beads. If I can even pick up 3. There's 3, 6, 9, 12. I'm going to drop these down, and then I am going to pick up sorry, I have to look at my original. I almost forgot for a moment. I'm going to pick up a 4mm round, and then I'm going to pick up a large crystal. Now, at this point, I'm going to show you how to use a top drilled crystal if you want to use some of these. I have plenty of them in my store. There's a couple in your bag, not enough because you need 5. And most people have these around. Top drilled crystals are pretty common. So you can use something vertical like an 8 or 10mm bicone crystal if you want, or even a cube, whatever you want. And you'll do it the way I show you how to do this one. But if you have a top drilled crystal, then you're going to pick up your green crystal, and then you're going to pick up 2 or 3, let's say 3 of our 15-0 seed beads. Get you a little closer here. You're going to go through the top of the crystal, pull this down, and then you're going to pick up 3 more of your 15-0 seed beads. And you're going to go into the green 4mm round here, or whatever color you're using, and pull this down. Now, you'll have to arrange it to where this lays nice and neat. You may even need, for these, probably even 4 15-0s will work well. But this is what that should look like once you have, it should be triangular, like this. Have it all drawn up nice and neat, and then you can pick up your 12, 15 O's and go into the other side of the crystal. That's how you're going to use a top drilled crystal. If you do not, otherwise we're going to use a vertical crystal. So I'm going to pull this off, and I'm going to show you how to use a vertical crystal. I'll get these guys off of here. Come on. I'm trying to make it come off over my needle so I don't have to rethread my needle, and it's arguing with me. Okay. Come on. All right. So if you're going to use the crystal in your bag or anything that's vertically drilled, then you're going to pick up your 12 15-0 seed beads, your 4mm round, and you are going to go through that crystal. Then you're going to pick up an 11-0 seed bead just because this hole is bigger, and we're going to drop this down instead of a 15-0, and we're going to fringe back up through. So we're going to ignore the 11-0, and we're going to go up through the crystal and the 4mm round crystal, just like this. So you're going through both of them, hold on to that 4mm round, pull your thread through, draw everything up nice and neat, like this. Make sure that your little 15-0s aren't bunching, so adjust your tension so that they look nice, and then pick up 12 more 15-0 seed beads onto your needle. Oh, come here. Oh, picking up a bunch of seed beads is so tedious, isn't it? Don't you think? Okay. So let me see what I've got here. 3, 6, 9, I have 12. So I'm going to drop my 12 15-0 seed beads down, and I'm going to go into the other side of the crystal that I started in. So I'm coming out of this side, I'm going to go into this side right here. And I'm going to pull this down. And then I'm just going to arrange my seed beads so that they're nice and neat. They're not bunched, but they have adequate tension. And then I am going to do an embellishment over the top of each of these units and travel back up the column we just made. So I'm going to pick up 3 15-0 seed beads. And then I'm going to pick up a 4mm round. And then I'm going to pick up 3 15-0 seed beads. And then I'm coming out of this side of this crystal. I'm going to go into the opposite side of the opposite crystal. So the crystal exactly opposite of the one I'm coming out of, I'm going to go into the opposite side from which I'm coming out of this one. So I'm going at a diagonal. And I'm going to pull this down, just like that. Now I'm coming out of the top bead of, or it would be the bottom bead of this unit here. So let's pick up 3 15-0 seed beads and a 4mm round. Come here. And 3 15-0 seed beads. And go into the opposite side of the opposite crystal again. So go directly into the bead opposite of the one that you're coming out of, in the opposite side, so that this draws down in a diagonal motion like this. And again, pick up 3 15-0s and a 4mm round and 3 15-0s. And then go into the opposite bead on the opposite side. Make sure you have adequate tension, and then continue one more time, picking up 3 15-0s, a 4mm round, and 3 15-0s. and go into the opposite side of the opposite crystal, which will be the one in your original circle, just like this. Pull this down and draw it up nice and neat. And now we're going to sew into our original circle and into this bead here. So that's why you need to leave a little bit of slack. Well, not slack, but you need to make sure that these beads aren't really tightly cinched together when you make your original circle. So I am sewing through the 2 11-0s, the 4 millimeter round, the 2 11-0s, and I am exiting the 6 millimeter round here. And then I can begin my next column. Each column will be exactly the same. So regardless of how many units you have chose to make, you will make each unit exactly the same on each one of these crystals. So you'll have 5 columns with 5 units if you're making 5. So we're going to pick up 3 of our 6 millimeter rounds and go into the opposite side of this bead here. Pull this down and sew through it again. Complete a column exactly like this here, and then of course sew over after you've done your embellishment coming back up, sew over into the next one, make another, and continue until you have 5 columns. If you need to back up the video and watch this one a couple of times until you get your pattern down, go ahead and do that, and we will come back when we have 5 columns complete with dangles and the top embellishment. Okay, so as you can see, I have finished all 4 of my columns now, and I have put on my last embellishment. This is my last column I put on my last embellishment. Let's get you in close. And as I came through this top red bead, putting on my embellishment, I also went ahead and slid through the 2 11-0s and the 4 millimeter round on the upper ring. So you just come through those 2 beads. If you've just pulled through, then of course you can just pick them up and come through. So we're coming out of this green bead on the original circle, and we're going to start this top embellishment now. And this top embellishment is done in 2 phases. So the first phase is to pick up 3 15-0 seed beads, and then you're going to pick up a 4 millimeter round onto your needle, and then 3 15-0s. You're coming out of this green bead here. You're going to go into the bottom bead on the first right angle weave unit. So we're going to go into this bead right here. Here are the 4 beads. This is the bottom bead. And I'm just going to pull this through that bottom bead of that first right angle embellishment on the side which my thread is coming out of. So you want to go this direction, not that direction. So now that I've pulled this down, I will pick up 3 15-0 seed beads. Get these spread out so I can actually pick them up. 3 15-0s and a 4 millimeter round and 3 15-0s. And on this side, I'm coming out of this bottom bead. I have to go into the green bead. So I have my little embellishment here, and I'm going to go up into this green bead right here. Again, this is why we have left the beads in the original circle not extremely tight, so you can pass through it nicely. Now you're going to get your dangles, everything's going to tangle up. Just get it nice and neat and pull it up like this, no slack. And then let's continue to the next one. Let's get closer. I'm coming out of the green bead. I'm going to pick up 3 15-0 seed beads, a 4 millimeter round, and 3 15-0s. And I'm coming from the green bead. I'm going to go into the bottom unit, or the bottom bead on the first unit of right angle weave, just like this, and pull it through. And it'll just wrap around like that. And we're going to continue doing that all the way around. So now I'm on this side of my unit, I'm going to pick up 3 15-0 seed beads, a 4mm round, and 3 15-0s. And I'm going to go into the green bead now. So you're going from green bead to the bottom unit of the right angle weave, and then from the bottom unit of the right angle weave to the green bead in the circle. And again, like I said, watch your thread, because I have a lot of thread on here and it wants to tangle under my existing beads, and just pull it down just like that. We're going to continue going all the way around doing this, and once we get to this last one, we'll be back. Okay, so I have done my little green embellishment all the way around here, and I'm about to put my last one on. So I'm coming out of this bottom bead of this unit of right angle weave here, and I need to attach to the green bead now. So I'm just going to go up into this green bead and pull my embellishment down, just like that. Now we have one more embellishment we're going to make through the embellishment that we just made. So what we're going to do is we are going to pick up, we're going to go down through, so we're coming out of this green bead here. I'm just referring to my last one to see how many beads I need. So we're coming out of this green one here. We're going to go down into these 3 15-0 seed beads, and just the 15-0 seed beads that we put on in our embellishment we just did. Pull your thread, making sure that your last embellishment is tight before you do this, and then go through these 3 15-0s. Pull your needle through. Again, pull your thread, make sure you didn't loosen anything up, and then we are going to switch direction now. So we're going to pick up 4 15-0 seed beads, and then we're going to pick up one of our 6mm rounds, and I'm going to use a clear this time. And then you're also going to pick up whatever you're using for a drop. Now you could at this point just use the little 6mm round and put your 15-0 seed bead on for your fringe, and I'll show you what I'm talking about. But you can use whatever you've been using for your drop down here, you can use for up here too. So we're going to drop this down. We have 4 15-0 seed beads, a 6mm round, and a drop on our, connecting to our 3 little 15-0s up here. Now we're going to pick up a 15-0. We're going to drop it down, and we're going to go back through the drop here and the crystal on top of it, and ignore the 15-0s. Now hold on to that 6mm round crystal and just pull until you can create a fringe. Now here I have to grab my 15-0 and slide this up, just like that. Sometimes it'll go down perfect, and sometimes you have to guide it down a little bit. Make sure there's no slack, and then you're going to pick up 4 15-0 seed beads again onto your needle. And we're going to go this direction now. So we're going to go into the 3 15-0s on the other side here. So you have the 3 15-0s leading down to your green crystal. We're going into those. So we're going to go into these 3 little 15-0s right here on the other side of the green crystal in the circle, the original circle. Then we're going to pull through. Once you've pulled that through, and you can arrange it, and you should have a little drop that looks like this. I'm going to arrange it nicely, and then I have to sew over to my next set here, my next set of 3 15-0s that lead down to the green crystal. So I will pick this up, and I will go through the 2 11-0s in the original, because I'm coming out of the green crystal. I'll go through the 2 11-0s, the 6mm round, and the 2 11-0s behind it. And then I'll I'll exit right there. You don't want to go through the green crystal, just exit right there. And you should be positioned right so that you can go down into those little beads. I'm going to grab something to pull my needle through because this needle is a little bit, it's a different size 12 and it's a little bit bigger than I'm used to working with. Okay, so now I'm coming out right here. I'm going to go down into these 3 15-0 seed beads and just the 15-0s right here. It's like this. So it's the 15-0s on either side of the red crystals and leading down from your green crystal here. Then you're going to pick up 4 15-0s and I'm going to pick up a clear crystal and then I'm going to pick up my drop and then I'm going to pick up a 15-0. So this is what I have. 3 15-0s, my round, my drop, and my 15-0. I'm going to bring this down to the 3 15-0s I'm coming out of. See, that's the issue with these. There's so much bulk to them. They kind of make it difficult to move around. So now I'm coming out of that out of the 15-0. I'm going to go around the 15-0 into the crystal and then into the crystal on top of it, just like this. I'm going to hold on to it and again tangle everything up. Okay, come on, and pull this in. Now I can hold on to this 15-0 and I can adjust this so that it comes up nice and neat, just like that. And now I've extended these little 15-0s in the first embellishment, so I have to extend them on the other side here. So I'm going to pick up 4 15-0s. And I'm going to go into just the 15-0s right here. Just like this. And I'm going to pull this through. Straighten it out. And then I have to travel. So I'm coming out of the 15-0s. I have to travel between the units here. I have to go into the 2 11-0s, this crystal here, and the 2 11-0s here, and then exit because I can see that's where my column of 15-0s are that I need to target next. So I'm going to pass through the 2 11-0s, the crystal, and the 2 11-0s behind it and exit, just like this. And again, my needle is a little tight, so I'm just going to use these little nylon nose pliers and pull it through. And then I'm going to go down into these 3 15-0s here. And this is why you want a small thread and a small needle. It's not really tight in there. I haven't passed through it so many times that it's tight. It's just the end of the needle is a little bit bigger than I usually use. So now we're going to pick up, again, we're coming out of those 15-0s. We're going to pick up 4 15-0s, the clear crystal, and the drop, and a 15-0. It's like this, and drop this down. Go around the 15-0, back into both of your crystals, up into the 6mm round. Hold on to that 6mm round, pull your thread through, pull your 15-0 up, and then pick up 4 more 15-0 seed beads. Go into the 15-0s on the other side here. And just the 15-0s. So once you've traveled through all 3 of those, pull your thread through. And before I tangle it, I'm going to make sure I get control of my thread here, like that. Straighten it out. And then I'm going to go ahead and do that again. So I will travel through these beads until I'm right in front of this little column of 3 15-ohs. So I'm going to go through the 2 11-ohs, the crystal, the 2 11-ohs, and exit. Then down through my 15-ohs and put my embellishment on. And then I'll do that one more time here too. Once we've done that, we'll be back. Okay, so as you can see, I've put all of my embellishments on. I'm about to do my last one on the last side. So I have my 3 15-oh seed beads. I've already put my drop and everything on. I'm just going to cross over and come into these 3 15-ohs on this side and pull this through. Try to keep my thread from doing all kinds of crazy things here. And now that was my last dangle embellishment. So what I need to do is I need to get into these units of right angle weave and sew down to the 4th unit so that we can do our last embellishment, which will be this dangle here. So we're going to do this one now. So what we're going to do is go through, we're coming out of these 3 15-ohs, we're going to go through these 2 11-ohs and into the red crystal behind them, just like this, and pull this through. And then I'm going to turn this so I can get to it. I'm going to pick up this column and I'm just going to sew through this unit until I get where I need to be. So let me show you what I need to do. I'm coming out of this red crystal. I'm going to go down into the side arm of the first red unit here. Then I'm going to go into the bottom bead, avoiding all the 15-ohs, everything all around it, just go through the red bead. Now I'm coming out of the bottom red bead here. I'm going to go into the side red bead. And this is my second unit here. I'll go into the bottom. So I'm coming out of this one, I'll go into this bottom bead right here. Pull my thread through. And now I'm in the top of the 3rd unit or the bottom of the 2nd unit, whichever way you want to look at it. I'm going to go into the side arm again. Then I'm going to go into the bottom of the 3rd unit. And now I'm in the top of the 4th unit. And I'm just going to go down. I'm on this side, so I'm going to go down into this side arm here in the 4th unit. Now, regardless if you made your right angle weave columns longer or not, you're still going to sew down to the 4th unit and exit on the bottom, regardless of how long they are. So now we're coming out of this side arm of this right angle weave unit, and we are going to pick up 8 15-oh seed beads. At this rate, it could take me forever. Let's see, I've got 6, 7, 8. We're going to pick up 8, and then we're going to pick up 2 of our 4mm round beads. Then we're going to pick up 8 more of our 15-oh seed beads. And then I'm going to drop them down, and then I am going to pick up a 4mm round, and I'm going to pick up a clear 6mm round, then whatever you're using for your drop, whether it be a bicone or whatever, pick it up and put it on there. So you can do this all at once. I'm just showing you in phases here. So what I have are 8 15-ohs, 2 4mm rounds, 8 15-ohs, a 4mm round, a 6mm round, and a drop. And then I'm going to pick up a 15-oh, drop it down. I'm going to go around the 15-oh into all 3 crystal pieces. So I'm going to go into my drop, my 6mm round, and my 4mm round, just like this. And I'm going to grab a hold of that and pull my thread through. And then I can grab this little 15-0 and adjust by pulling on my thread so that there's no slack, but make sure that you don't have them bunched up either. Now we have 1 dangle coming from this side. We need to attach to this side. So we're going to do the same thing in reverse here. We're going to pick up 8 15-0 seed beads onto a needle, and then let's see what I have, 2, 6, 7, 8, and then I'm going to pick up 2 4mm rounds, and then 8 more 15-0s. Okay, so this is what I have. 8 15-0s, 2 4mm round, 8 15-0s. I'm going to drop this down. And now I need to go into the same bead on the next column. So I'm coming out of this bead, so it's the second unit up. So I'm going to count 1 unit up and then go into the side arm of that 4th unit right there. Or you can, if you're counting from the bottom, it's the second unit right there. And just come up through the bottom of that bead and pull that down, just like that. Now we're going to travel through the top bead in that unit, right here. Pull the thread through, and then travel down into the side of that unit. We're going to stay in that unit. We're just coming from this bead to this bead to this bead. Now that we're coming down out of this bead, we can turn our piece and we can put on another embellishment, hooking it to the arm of this one here. So again, we pick up our 8 15-0 seed beads, and see, make sure you have them right, or if they're not right, your piece will look kind of strange. So I have 8 of them, and then 2 4mm round, and then 8 more of my 15-0s, drop those down, and then I am going to pick up a 4mm round, a 6mm round, a drop, and a 15-0, just like this. I'm going to drop this down to my last set of 8 15-0s. Then I'm going to go back around the 15-0 into the 3 pieces of crystal, just like this. I'm going to hold on to that top piece. I'm going to pull my thread through and arrange it to where there's no slack and it lays nicely. Then we're going to pick up again 8 15-0s, two 4mm rounds, and 8 15-0s. Like this. I'm going to drop them down, and then I'm going to come over. This is my first unit that has the long embellishment on. I'm going to go into the side arm, so this side bead of the second unit of right angle weave, and I'm going to come straight up through it. And then I'm going to go into the top bead of that unit, right there. And then I'm going to go down into the side arm on the other side of the unit. And I will do the same embellishment all the way around. So just continue until you have put this embellishment in between all of the columns, and we'll come back and tie this off and see what it looks like. Okay, so I have put my embellishment all the way around, and I'm about to attach my very last one. So I have to go into the side arm of the second unit here, and go up through that. And now I need to tie a knot. So I'm going to go through this top one here. So I'm going up into the bead, the top bead of the unit I'm in, and then I'm just going to poke my needle through and turn this over so that I can work on the back and just tie a knot. So I'm coming out here. I'm going to go up into the third unit here. So I'm coming out of this bead, I'm going into this one. And then right between these two beads is a little thread bridge. You can see it here. I'm going to go underneath that thread bridge. Make sure your embellishment is tight, everything is good. And then go underneath this little thread bridge between the beads. Make a loop, go through the loop, and pull a knot down. And then I'm going to sew through this bead. I'm going to go up into the next unit here. And I'm going to tie another knot right here on this thread bridge. And then I'm going to go into the top unit. And I'm just going to sew around it, just to make sure my thread is nice and secure. So I'm going all the way around this unit. It's the one in the top in the circle. I'll tie one more knot on the thread bridge between these two beads here. I gotta get my thread situated. Let's do that again. Go underneath this thread bridge, tie a knot here. Oh, I hope I'm in camera. I hope you could see that. I'm just sewing around the units and tying knots on the thread bridge between the beads. You can do it any way you want. I'm going to go through another bead because I'm between the two beads here. Go through here, and then I can cut my thread off. Let me back off. I'm sorry if you missed that, but I was just tying knots, and most everybody knows how to tie off their work, so it shouldn't be too horrible if I was out of camera a little bit. Okay, so this is what it looks like. Here's my bulb. I'm going to back off a little bit more and just put this on my bulb and see what it looks like. Oh yeah, that looks really cute. It's too bad I can't actually show it to you halfway decent. This is my first one I made, and this is this one, and I'm going to take this hook off of this one. I just made a hook with wire here, and I'm going to put it on this one so I can kind of lift it and show it to you a little bit. Turns out really cute. So I'll take a picture with the camera straight on so you can see what it looks like. But this is basically how it looks. And it fits the bulb very nicely, and it's a really cute little cover. So instead of getting very, very intricate and using little tiny beads and doing tons of netting, which you've seen a lot of those covers, and they're beautiful, they're wonderful, but they can be a little intimidating. This one is pretty straightforward, pretty easy, and can be accomplished fairly quickly, so you can make quite a few if you would like. It's a little bit bigger and bolder of a cover, but it's Christmas time, so you can have lots of bling and a little bit bigger, and it all works out fine. So I will take a picture of these so you can see them, and they will be on the thumbnail and at the beginning of the video, and you will see them. We'll try not to put the name of the video over the top of the piece. Jonathan. Okay? All right. Okay. I will see you in the next one. I hope you enjoyed this one and have fun making one. Bye-bye.